In the concrete veins of the city, there is a legend the street cleaners tell. If you're walking home alone and you see a tiny red light, like a dying cigarette or a distant laser pointer, hovering inside a storm drain, do not look at it. Marcus, of course, was the type who needed to see to believe. He spotted the dot under a rusted grate outside the 5th Avenue subway exit. It wasn't just a light. It was a perfect, lidless eye, bioluminescent and pulsing with a wet, rhythmic heat. He stopped, paralyzed by a sudden, magnetic pull. As he stared, the red light began to blink. 3! The hum of the city fell silent. 2! The air turned metallic and cold. 1 of the streetlights didn't just flicker. They died in a sequence leading right to his feet. A sound like wet leather sliding on stone echoed from the drain. A hand gray, elongated, and dripping shot between the iron bars and clamped around his ankle. He didn't even have time to gasp before he was jerked downward. The last thing he saw was his own terrified reflection in that massive red eye, a tiny silhouette screaming into the void of the sewer. Sarah loved her high-rise apartment for the silence, but tonight, the silence felt heavy. She was scrolling through her feed when a system notification popped up. New device detected. The visitor. Would you like to pair? She hit decline. It was probably just the guy in 14B. 10 seconds later, the phone buzzed violently. Pairing successful. Playback initiated. A recording began. It was low frequency, high-fidelity audio of a heavy door creaking open. Then, the sound of wet, barefoot footsteps on hardwood. Step squelch, step squelch. Sarah froze. The audio was perfectly synced, with the echoes coming from her own hallway. She checked her Bluetooth settings. The device the visitor was listed as signal strength, maximum, distance, 0 feet. She turned toward her bedroom door. The phone played the sound of a key turning in a lock. The door stayed shut, but the phone's speakers began to emit a heavy, ragged breathing. Sarah realized with horror that the audio wasn't a recording. It was a live feed, and the microphone was already inside her room. Chloe was obsessed with the ethereal glow filter. It didn't just fix her skin, it made her look like a different person. While filming a late-night story in her dark dorm, the yellow face tracking square locked onto her. Then, a second square appeared. It was hovering in the pitch-black corner behind her closet. The filter applied the mask to the empty air. A beautiful, shimmering face appeared on the screen, floating 6 feet off the ground. It had wide, doll-like eyes, and a smile that had too many teeth. Chloe laughed nervously, waiting for the glitch to clear. Instead, the filtered face moved. It drifted over her shoulder, its digital mouth opening wide. On the screen, Chloe saw the entity whisper into her ear. In the real room, she felt the freezing condensation of breath hit her skin. She spun around, nothing, just shadows. When she looked back at her phone, her own face was a blur of static. And the filter was now only tracking the thing behind her, which had finally stopped smiling. It had stolen her digital identity, and now it was coming for the rest. Night shift bus drivers have an unspoken rule. If a woman in a yellow raincoat boards at 4th Street after midnight, do not look in the rearview mirror. Elias, 24 years old and cocky, thought it was an initiation prank. At 1:15 a.m., the woman boarded. She smelled of stagnant water and old lilies. She sat in the very back, her head bowed. Elias waited 5 minutes before his curiosity broke him. He tilted the mirror. In the reflection, there was no yellow raincoat. The woman was a mass of yellowed, grave-stained bandagers. Her face was a sunken mask of gray, leathery skin. Every time the bus hit a pothole, she was closer. Thump. She was in the middle. Thump. She was 3 rows back. Elias slammed on the brakes, the bus skidding to a halt. He looked over his shoulder. The back seat was empty. He sighed, heart hammering, and looked back at the mirror. She was standing directly behind his seat, her face inches from the glass, her bandaged fingers reaching up to adjust the mirror so he couldn't look away. "Arya, turn off the lights," Leo muttered. "I'm sorry," Leo, the device chirped. "I cannot do that while the guest is still in the room." Leo sat up, scanning the shadows. "Arya, I'm alone. Turn off the lights. The guest is currently under your bed, Leo." They requested the lights stay on. "They like the way your eyes reflect the lead." Leo's heart skipped. He reached for his phone, but the smart speaker's voice distorted, becoming a deep, mechanical growl. "The guest says thank you for the invite. You really should read the terms of service regarding unfiltered access." Suddenly, the mattress began to heave. Something heavy was pushing up from the floorboards. The speaker began to play a lullaby, but it was pitched up, sounding like a chorus of screaming children. As the lights finally died, the voice didn't come from the speaker anymore. It came from the back of Leo's own throat, cold and electronic, hardware synced. Installation complete. Thanks for watching. If these stories gave you chills, make sure to like and subscribe for more tales from the dark. Sleep tight.